size, super simple recipes, number 40. Twisted Dauphinoise Potatoes. I haven't shot one of these since before Christmas, mostly because the pandemic and lockdown, my mental health is suffering quite badly. But tomorrow I'm going to be slow roasting this nice piece of beef, and I want something to go with them as a side dish. Now, traditionally, Dauphinoise potatoes are thinly sliced and cooked in a milk and cream sauce infused with garlic. I'm going to alter it slightly in that I would prefer my potatoes to be in bite-sized chunks, and I'm going to add a little bit of bacon to the entire sauce, and we're going to make the sauce with cheese, milk and cream rather than just cream. So obviously the first thing I've got to do is peel and parboil these for about 20 minutes. So I'll get on with doing that and I'll come back once they're done. Okay, so our potatoes have been simmering away for a shade over 15 minutes. The next bit's reasonably important. We need to lift them out and allow them to go completely cold. The reason is, if we try to cut them straight out of the pan while they're hot, they'll tend to break up, which is not what we want. So we just lift those out like that. And now we'll let them go nice and cold, and then when we cut them they won't fall apart. Okay, I'll come back once they're cold. Our potatoes have now cooled off, so I'm going to start cutting these into, instead of slicing them as you would for a normal dauphinoise, we're going to cut them into chunks. But because they're parboiled, they should turn out perfectly fine. As you can see, the edges are starting to crack. That's the stage you want them to be at. So I'll come back once all of these have been chopped. We're ready to start making our sauce. Okay, I'll come back in a couple of minutes. Okay, so I've diced the cold potatoes and laid them into a dish. I've got here some lardons of bacon. We're going to quickly fry those off in a little bit of olive oil and add those to the potatoes. As I said, this is a twisted dauphinoise mix, and it'll all be fine in the end. So I'll get those in and I'll come back once they've been fried off. I've fried off my little bacon lardons, smoked bacon lardons. They've just taken on a little bit of colour. They cook through, so these are then added to their potatoes, which will add a nice smoked bacon flavour to the final dish. I'm going to sort of blend them in a bit before we make our sauce to go over the top. Lovely, there we are. I'll come back once we're ready to make our sauce. Okay, so as we've said, we're going to do this in a slightly different way from a standard dauphinoise. We're going to start with a teaspoon of salted butter. So we're going to heat off in this pan. It's going to take a little while, it's not really melting too quick, is it? Once that's bubbling away, we're going to add a heaped teaspoon of plain flour, and this is going to form the basis of our sauce. I'm going to cook that off a little bit. I'm going to find a whisk. This is where we deviate from a standard dauphinoise sauce, because we're going to add some milk. We're going to keep working it. The main reason for this is I'm going to actually make a cheese sauce, but we're going to add some garlic to it to produce a dauphinoise style sauce for our potatoes. We're probably going to add about half a pint of milk to get it started off. We're going to want this to come back up to a gentle boil, because we want it to thicken with the flour and the butter. This is going to be the longest bit of the video, because you have to wait for everything to bubble and boil through. To infuse it, rather than adding whole garlic cloves and then trying to remove them, I'm just going to add in about half a teaspoon of chopped garlic. And into that I'm going to start adding our grated cheese. This is actually cheddar. Standard Dauphinoise would call for a French cheese sprinkled on the top, but we're going to build this up a bit. And then we're going to add in some double cream. So instead of our standard milk and double cream and infused garlic, we've actually got a cheesy sauce with all of those ingredients in it, and that will now form the basis of our baking sauce. So I'll come back in a couple of minutes once that's warmed right through. So here's our potato and bacon mix. Delicious. We're going to put some salt, and some pepper, then we're going to pour over our garlic, cheese, milk and double cream mix. And obviously we're going to want this to soak right through. We want to try and work that right the way down, so all of our bacon and potato is nicely covered. Oh, that's delicious. And we take the last bit of cheese and we'll sprinkle this over the top, so that when we put it in the oven we get a nice crispy, crunchy, cheesy topping on the top. And that's now ready for the oven. So we'll come back once the beef's cooked. Wow. And the cheese is crisped up on the top. So Our potatoes are all ready for the oven. 180 to 200 for about 20 minutes, and we'll see what we get at the end when they're done. There we are. Right, the potatoes have been in for 20 minutes. Let's see what we've got. Size Dauphinoise potatoes with a twist. Job done.